habits that you need to break yourself from if you want to speculate.
Get right back to
now, if you take a look ineffective speculators, another thing they do, they buy cheap stuff. I'm back, and I got 5 more bad habits that you need to break yourself from if you want to speculate like a pro. Let's get right back to it. Ineffective speculators, another thing they do, they buy cheap stocks because they assume everything.
Natural gas, those are not specific, right? You're not just saying those are natural resources. So with everybody, and you now have the bank of Japan, England, America, Chinese apparently loosening up. Everybody is now loosening the money supply, printing money.
Hi, I'm Max Kaiser. This is the Kaiser report.
We also had a relatively low discount interest rate where banks borrowed from the federal government. There's a lot more support for that in the
shortages of nearly all commodities developing and I'm going to make money in the commodities. If the world economy does get better, there's a lot more money place to be and where
I was just saying, I told you this has been happening for weeks. All we do is search stuff online. And we use several different search engines, but start pages stuff just process them. And if someone in the world is watching us, right, we hope they do give it to us. Learning that they're being poisoned, fixing our searches, and saying they're killing us. Of course they can't have me on here dominant. And I'm dominating all over the web now. We're being censored everywhere.
Everything in the world,
I have confirmed that people
maybe the US dollar will go up initially, but probably everything would be hit in the shock that made the oil. So I own gold. I'm not selling my gold.
The crash of Lehman Brothers. It was a discussion on my side of the former chancellor.
And what the Fed is doing is simply guaranteeing that
most people don't understand
the 0% interest rates prevent.
And perhaps you know Venus Project, you know the Free Gold Charter organization, you know perhaps the books and the stories of Gene Roddenberry, Star Trek, where we live in the world without money. I can tell you it is possible. But the problem we are facing is how can we get there? And all that we have to know is it happens in our minds. We have to push the right switches and then we will find the path.
Okay, sind wir online? Wunderbar. Hello, traders all around the world. Welcome to another FM Signals Info Show video edition. My name is Still Damagaj from good old Germany, and you're welcome to another 48 hours technical analysis and synthesis. Today, a little bit later after Wall Street session, why? Well, telling you soon as possible. In this video, I'm choosing another major currency cross rate today with the Australian dollar, US dollar. Where is it? Here is it. So analyze the stuff again, traders. It's still yours. Okay, it's 1646. Yeah, Fibo line touched here in our cross rate. However, it's 1646 New York time right here at now. On Wednesday, the 16th May 2012, or even 6:47 in the morning in Australia, or for example 22:47 by the way in good old Europe, Central European time, Brussels, Frankfurt, Berlin, Amsterdam, Stuttgart, Rome, Madrid, Paris, or Zurich for example. However, here is the Australian dollar, US dollar, 5-minute chart, and we see we are here in a basic downside trend. So with some upside setups here, for example, this week here, proudly 100 pips and much more today until midday or European session morning also. And I'm trying to not to catch one, much more to how do you say in English, to wait for one and then sell this cross trade again. So that would be or is my trading capability for today. For the next 48 hours perhaps we will get an how do you say in English, yes, a better short entry for the Australian dollar US dollar. However, let's break it down, bring it to the point. So here, come on, here we are. Yes, here we see the first signal here on the short-term view is here the low of last period, so of last week in this context. And here we see we've got here yesterday here European session morning here something like a top. So today in my German edition I watched also Australian dollar, US dollar and Canadian dollar Yen, by the way. And I tried or I thought here that we will get here perhaps once again round about 1, and that should be or would be a nice, how do you say, a nice short entry for me, in my opinion. But we are now here, we are fall down until 14.13. So we will see how to try an entry to short this cross trade again. However, here are the this week actuality weekly high lows. We see we created here high lows, and this morning here European time we've got here this great bounce back and then sell off again. Interesting is if we put here this together, we see here above the 50 and here above the 50 weekly high low price. We've got a great how do you say, entry aftermath, of course, this week here, great entry to sell, to serve this this trend too. But the question is, of course, we will get back, we will rise again to these levels. So yes, however, important for me is this, that's this formation here, so that so if we should go up from right here right now 16:51 New York time on Wednesday afternoon, so 70-80 pips, how do you say, let me say honestly, I don't see a reason why. Yes, so, and we will see however, so let me argue technically. Okay, yes, I don't see a reason why this trend should or let me argue by another way. Give me a reason to buy Australian dollar against US dollar here by cycle or by news flow. So proactive or proactive, however, and so I would slightly much like prefer to sell this cross rate on even here on 150 pushbacks. So again, so okay, let's go technically further. Important in my opinion is here this trend line. It's the trend line from this week, the downside trend. Here we started this week here 11 here, and we see here today we've got here this upside trend here. I thought perhaps we will have the power enough, or the market will have the power enough to go higher here at this prices. So I waited until the end of Wall Street session, but yes, here we've got here this crash, or not crash, intraday at midday New York time, and then we are here back in this trend. We are above the trend, if you want, so slightly bullish here on the short-term view, but it's still a pretty on a bigger time frame downside trend. So, and I don't see a reason, don't have an argue, a signal to buy. But that's from a sentiment side, of course, could be an argue with everything. If nobody sees a reason to buy, perhaps sometimes is this an, how do you say in English, something like a button. Everybody sell, everybody is short in the market, but who knows, perhaps yes, it's very tricky today, or in these times, to trade the markets or to make money. However, here let's go further, much more in detail. Here we see the daily and weekly average, and interesting for me is, or the fact, or the signal here, this week when we were above the daily average, here we create here a great turnaround formation. You see from technical point, upside here W and V, if you want, here a top, and here today also here, and we've got here this sell-off intraday, of course, slightly sell-off, but it was here, that's here, that's on a short-term view for next 48 hours the main the basic scenario, in my opinion, or the basic setup, if you want. Here above the daily average, this trend reversal formation, here this sell push, sell or beer, here the beers comes back in town, if you want, or sell pressure here too, and here today too. Here I thought perhaps to get a long entry to here and then sell again, but here we've got not the same scenario, perhaps something like the same scenario on a shorter time frame. Here I could also create here this how to say, this figure or this formation here, and here sell again on the blue downside trend. And the question is, of course, yeah, what next? So pressure is still in race, and I'm thinking I'm not the only trader who thinks like this. Of course, nobody or one trader or two traders. While I'm following, or which are follow me, twittering, something like this. But yeah, it's a tricky market. And I'm thinking everybody wanna be on a safe side, of course, and yeah, or on the liquid side. Safe side is relative, of course. On the liquid side, and the liquid market is even the dollar. There you can argue what you want, but the liquids market on this planet Earth is still the US market, US dollar. However, too much input. Okay. So yes, and so I waited today here until the end of the Wall Street session. Why? Because I'm thinking here we see after the session usually is while the session is always the big how do you say, the big development, yes, the big price action, but sometimes you can place a position or a trade also between US dollar trading or New York trading session and Sydney trading session are usually the slightly development, of course, between Australia and New York is European trading time. So here you can, we can, how do you say, put some positions, and I would slightly prefer still the short side. Perhaps not today, not right here right now. Of course, you can also sell Australian dollars at 99,111, of course, 99.11. Here are 5 digits after 99.11, if you want, and but I would still perhaps wait until the, how to say, until the Australian trading session here, and then sell Australian dollar again. Perhaps here, yes, here came the trading session also out, yes, and then sell Australian dollar again. That would be for me the best trading capability in this cross trade right here now on Wednesday 16:59 New York time afternoon, even until the end of the week. So to come to a point or to an end much more, let's go a little bit further, or let's all much more detail. I'm thinking it's too much, but perhaps I want to give you some details again. So here, while Australian session or higher prices perhaps on the mid price this week, this week works, this trading capability, or this strategy or tactic for this week here above the mid price area of this week is today, or right here right now, at round about 90.90 or 0.9950 52 here by my broker. I would prefer to sell Australian dollar. So if we get the price here, we will, it's a big mountain to get there. So, and if we are, then I would proudly slightly sell Australian dollar, US dollar again. However, unless the stuff again is still yours in the end, here I'm paying also some daily pivot points here, and we see the daily pivot points are here also round about the mid price 50 west here in the US New York time, or here in Australian time, Australia time, or Sydney time. We are here on Thursday, by the way, and we see here the pivots are much lower. So here the highs of the mid price of this week and the highs of New York trading session today would be for me here great short opportunities. But the question is, of course, will we get these prices? So the best scenario will be here. So a big recovery, and then perhaps the traders are thinking, oh, the downtrend is over, and then shark attack again if you want. So funny analogy, by the way. However, here are all pivot points inside, so perhaps a little bit too much info, so let's zoom a little bit. Here we see the trading session of today, New York, here once again, and the target should be here, the daily here. Here today's New York, and here Thursday's how do you say, Australian time, yes, here. So the target should be lower prices, perhaps lower not today, perhaps on Friday, we could. I would still prefer the short side. So a trade to new weekly lows is, in my opinion, much more or the bigger possibility than that we fight the trend and yeah, create a reverse. How do you say in English? Yes, reverse. So okay. Okay, we're trading here. Sometimes it's also much more useful without lines here. And if we see the chart, oh excuse me, here the chart without so much painting. Here we see, yes, much more or much clearer, in my opinion. Here that we can create new lows of this week. By the way, don't forget don't ignore the data. Interesting phenomenon or this week I figured out, perhaps YouTube. Here we see today we saw also US data came out, we rise a little bit and then we fall again. So here today the FOMC meeting came out, so don't get foolish. In my opinion, here we see the trend is slightly, not so extreme, but slightly bearish in this cross rate too, so I wouldn't fight the trend. So you can of course feel free to disagree, analyze the stuff again, it's still yours. So if we got them bounce back in a turnaround and you're on the right side and you got this calculation and you're long, yes, you will make money more than everybody else or the mostly traders, but yes, it's quite how to say quite yeah, tricky. It's a tricky market. So okay. By the way, don't ignore the data of this week in this cross rate. Inflation expectations in 3 hours 53. Here we see 3.3 was the previous. So in 3 hours 53. Don't ignore that. And tomorrow, of course, unemployment claims and Philly Fed manufacturing index. By the way, and these three datas are the basic one. Okay. Leading index US dollar and natural gas storage also don't ignore, but don't have so much influence. And I'm still as I said before, accepting lower prices here, not perfectly like this, but I would still prefer the short side in this cross rate. Okay, that's all for today, traders. Thanks for watching my videos, spending your time. I'm hoping you enjoyed it, got some new views, and analyze the stuff again. It's still yours. And by the end of the video, I will give you a new citation of the day. So stay online, stay with me.
Well, there are problems in America. The Americans have to deal with that situation, and the fact that the U.S. was downgraded had an impact on consumer sentiment. As you saw in the latest numbers, now. But you have to realize the United States is very much of the GDP that is produced in the U.S. is consumed internally. When you look at the amount of exports and imports relative to GDP, it's relatively small in the United States. And you have to understand is that most
and the money flows into one aspect and then into another one, probably that
And when I say you weren't breastfed, and I put this out before people, a lot of them get mad and say, well, no, I wasn't breastfed. You don't get the fats you need for brain growth in the first year and a half without the milk that the female mammal, Homo sapiens sapiens, produces. See, those breasts are for a reason. They're designed to feed you. Now, my mother breastfed me till I was 18 months old. I've got a big brain, okay? I got my full development.
America's already bankrupt. The idea that they're still paying things to AAA credit they may lower is just absurd. These left rating agencies have been wrong about nearly everything for the past 10 or 15 years. The U.S. is in terrible trouble. Congressmen should be worried about that.
Working, that we're finally getting growth, that we're creating jobs, that we've turned the corner, that we've seen the light at the end of the tunnel. Pretty soon people are going to realize that that's not a light, it's the proverbial oncoming train. The U.S. economy is not getting better at all. In fact, most people are sicker than ever before, and all the Fed can do is keep interest rates at zero indefinitely, pretend there's no inflation, even as it's about to rage out of control,
and the stories
and trying to justify keeping the economy on life support, which
I can tell you it is possible. But the problem we are facing is how we get there. And all that we have to know is it happens in our minds. We have to push the right switches, and then we will find the path. I will give you some hints and clues how to do it on yourself.
Just what it's doing.
First of all,
it's a monster.
The
biggest
most people
in the U.S. economy is that rates are too low. Interest rates are too low. We're never going to have a real recovery until interest rates rise. But of course, when interest rates rise, we're going to have some short-term problems that result from the enormity of our debt. Our banks are going to suffer. Our government's going to suffer because it can't pay its bills. The housing market's going to suffer. We're going to have a short-term contraction, a lot of pain as we go to the bubble economy, the real economy, but for political reasons, the Fed doesn't want that. So the Fed is resisting the cure by making the disease worse, and eventually we're going to suffer that much more when interest rates
loans from banks,
then we're going to wipe out the dollar completely. Inflation. Let's say it's
created by lending it out.
What if the Japanese see 3% growth? And a strong yen would reduce the cost of those imports and would help the
because when banks grant a loan, the money doesn't exist beforehand. It's not existing.
What's driving the trade
out of thin air, but then the banks want it back with interest, and this is the problem because they never invent the money for interest. In the beginning, in all the times, 1,000 years ago, people used cattle or sheep, and then if they lend a herd, they returned it to the corn paths. Natural interest grows on itself, and then we can return probably that. But if we use gold coins, paper money, they don't get the So banks only create the money of the loan and never the money to pay interest, and this is where the problems start, because the money for the interest doesn't exist in our money volume. So this is the root of the so-called competition in the real economy. We have to fight against each other. Take away money from each other, to give it back.
I mean, if you go to the 2008 period, you find out later that Paulson, thanks to a tunnel with the insiders on Wall Street, told folks that the government was going to be bailing out these institutions, printing money to do so. Banks all tripled and quadrupled during that period of time, based on a huddle between Hank Paulson, Congress, and Wall Street. And billions of dollars were siphoned out of the economy, put into the pockets of a few folks who used most of that money to pass laws to make it easier to commit the same crimes over and over again.
Yes, those huddles you were talking about with Hank Paulson, they were actually all, he met with
Okay, traders, the citation of today is from Horace, a famous Roman poetry, master lived round about 43 before Christian birth and 15 after, while Augustine ruled Rome, and he said, you should be the lord of the things and not the slave. So here I've got a failure. How to say? You should be the lord. You should be lord of the things and not the slave. And yeah, that means for us traders, of course, also. And that's also the reason why I'm saying always analyze the stuff again. It's still yours. So yeah, we've got many information right here, today. Of course, internet, radio, television, etc., etc. And so long. And interesting is, of course, here as I painted here the charts, by the way, for someone. Sometimes you see here in much here for some traders are this too much information, and for some traders are this enough. So yes, so always analyze the stuff again. And even as Horace said, you should be the lord of the things and of the information and not the slave. So that's all for today, traders. Thanks. I'm hoping you're enjoying my videos. Get some new conclusions. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy your life. And analyze the stuff again. It's still yours. Talking to you tomorrow while Wall Street session. Bye bye. And have a great morning, day or night, whenever you're watching my video. My name is still Damagaj from good old Germany, and it's Wednesday, the 16 May 2012. It's 17:13 New York time. Bye bye, and talking to tomorrow, traders.